So I was given the opportunity to come and work at that stage on 2CA. After about 6 weeks, I reckon it was, there was a all-staff meeting at very short notice, and they were always like big news, and we found out that 2CA was being sold to Kevin Blyton's network.
Yep. The big shake-up.
It was, yeah, and 104.7 and Mix 106.3 were forming a joint venture under the banner of Canberra FM. So I remained with the 2CA operation, and I actually did the very last shift out of the Jollymont Centre, and literally the techs were taking the studio door off while I was on air. So it was being packed up around me. So yeah, so I went over there and worked probably for about 6 months. For Kevin's group, and then Steve Mummery very casually was like, I need you to dog sit I'm going to Sydney for the weekend, can you dog sit my dog for the weekend? I was like, yeah, cool, no worries, because Steve and I were good mates. Oh, and by the way, I've got something going over here, are you interested in coming across to Mix? So yeah, like, cool, yeah, love to. And then, I was fortunate enough to be given the job as Program Director of Mix 106.3.
Yeah, because I worked at 104 and 106 in Canberra for a very short time as well, doing karting back very early in my career. I know from other program directors in ARN and Australia that I've spoken to that the joint venture was great, but it also became a little bit of a Siberia, for want of a better term, because no one in ARN wanted to tell Canberra anything. No one in Australia wanted to tell Canberra anything. Was that good or bad? I mean, I could see it could go either way. You could have had a lot of autonomy, or did you find that you were kind of out in the cold?
It was both. It was dead set both. Programming there, it very definitely was Siberia in some respects, especially in the early couple of years. ARN people didn't trust us that we weren't going to leak secrets. So basically the ARN programming team under the joint venture arrangements weren't meant to be talking to us. And the Austereo team, while they were responsible and, did a great job of lending us support, they were always a little bit sceptical, I think, of, can we really trust these people? And, I found when I became program director there, I had to build relationships, and this was probably another great lesson out of that experience of becoming a program director in that environment, and it served me so well through the rest of my career. Is the world goes round on trust. Once eventually they worked out they could trust me, they kind of left me alone. And so it was a great radio station from that perspective, in that you could experiment.
What sort of experiments did you run? What are you talking about?
Say, for example, on Mix 106.3, at one stage I hired pretty much an all-female lineup. This was in the early 2000s.
And I think that would have suited that format really well. It was a soft
an adult
AC.
Contemporary station. I don't know. I might be wrong. Maybe that wouldn't have been a thing for other stations, but there wasn't really anybody else around doing it, and I kind of got the impression that it might not have been acceptable elsewhere. And to me, that was just one of those little things that I had the opportunity to do, and it came about not because I wanted to put all women across the radio station. I came out because I wanted to put the best people on the radio station, and they were all women. And
so while you were in Canberra, you would have been the program director there during as a Canberran who happened to be in town at the time. It was a very frightening time, the 2003 bushfires.
Yeah, it was.
How did the radio stations perform, do you think, at that time?
Yeah, look, I think we performed really, really well. We had amazing people doing amazing things that day, and just you even asking that question still sends shivers down my spine. It was
me too.
An incredible time in the community in Canberra. Everyone who lived through that here in Canberra has a very strong shared experience. The whole team on both radio stations literally just arrived at work. I didn't have to call people. They all just came in, and then they went out, and they were out in the community, phoning in, doing their best to keep people updated. We were just running it hot in the studios with, getting people on air who could just take calls, get information to where the emergency services communication system broke down that afternoon. Literally, it collapsed, and this affected all radio stations and TV stations, any sort of emergency broadcasters, and we were in the dark for quite a while. It's a real moral dilemma situation, and you're making it up on the fly. What do you do when you don't have an official word coming from the official government emergency services agency? What are you telling the community? What information are you putting to where? Because you don't want to create panic. There's enough of that going on out in the community, but you've got to keep people as safe as you can. I got word that there was a thing going on at the Emergency Services Agency. I tracked down somebody who I knew, one of the ABC journos, Clarissa Thorpe. Everyone mucks in together in times of emergency. Clarissa literally got a phone, shoved it up, got me a grab, and I got it on air on the radio stations just to try and calm some of the panic in the community. In that time, it was also, we were very concerned for people across our radio station staffing because they were impacted. There was people who knew people who'd lost homes, and we had personal friends who'd been, they had a house in Duffy. They were locked out of the suburb. They didn't know if their house had gone or not. There's all this sort of stuff going on. It was a really, really distraught time in the Canberra community, and I suppose a reminder that, the part that radio plays in times like that, where it can reach people quickly, and especially in those circumstances where, the official channels of communication go down. So what have you got that you can give the community that can keep them up to date without creating panic? It was a really, a good demonstration of how radio as a medium is so vital.
For more of this chat with Geoff Fisher, check out the podcast Off Mic, Life After Radio, wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify and YouTube.